They both know you go. They both know you. And I said, who, estaba like, you guys were like across from an area, an outside area, where people were just mingling and
the
stuff.
son never asked me, hey, you want to be a friend or anything?
And then I said to them, who's that guy over there with those two girls? I've never seen him. And they said, they looked at me and said, oh, that's Hermano Banuelo's son. He's from.
And you didn't know did you my dad?
In my life, no. But that was it. I just.
Dad, ¿cómo te van a conocer tu papá? Your dad was preaching in the ranchos. She's from the city.
No, my dad was known all the higuera.
No,
Pastors
because
down, they all know my dad.
because I was from the LA area, and his family was from here, from San Diego, from Vista.
Yeah, pero en esos tiempos, Vista was nothing. If you were San Diego, maybe one thing, pero Vista, North County? Hasta cuando when we moved.
Y te digo que I know the people because of the choirs, but I didn't know the preachers or I didn't know the pastors. No conocía. De LA sí, a todos, pero acá no.
And my dad.
I'm trying to imagine you like my Tata.
Well,
Like,
I've been to Bible school.
Shave all the beard, but just keep the mustache.
Saliendo de
He
evangelizar.
looked awesome. Yeah, it looked dope. No?
You look awesome.
How come?
That's your brother, Adam Lopez,
Round.
told me, hey,
Wait,
your
mustache
dad
is
was in
very
my
thick, though.
church. He says,
And I didn't know you were there after I met you.
Oh,
Tata, you want more?
you went
No,
to
thanks.
one of our teachers. You
I'm good.
invited my dad. My dad went to, he invited my dad, but he wanted to invite him for one day.
Who them?
No, he
But-
invited him for a weekend or something like that.
No, but I think it was just, oh no, yeah. But he told him, my dad preached and he says, can you preach tomorrow on the same subject? And my dad said yes.
Who?
Adam Lopez, the very famous pastor from Union City.
Oh, okay.
Has one of the biggest churches up north.
He was one of our teachers in school.
And then their son says, could you preach the same subject? Yeah. And then he went and told me, he goes, your dad, he spoke about the word 3 days in a row. He couldn't understand,
Oh.
But he had him for a whole week after then. I mean, he kept, but tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Isn't it funny to think that Tata used to be like, I don't know how to explain.
without a mustache?
No, like, that when Nana was talking to her friends about Tata, he was like somebody's son. You get what I'm saying?
Oh.
So now it's like, oh, that's Brother Victor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it funny?
He was a nobody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Isn't it funny?
Well, he was just a kid.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah,
He was
isn't it
just a
funny
kid.
to think that Tata used to be like, oh yeah, that's somebody's son,
He was known because of someone's son.
Yeah.
They didn't know me, they know my dad.
That's what I'm saying. So, but
You were known by affiliation.
right.
Anybody want more tacos?
No thanks.
Yeah.
I wish I would, but I want to have some dessert.
So how'd you meet our dad? Home Depot? He's one of those guys looking for work.
She went to a choir presentation to Miami from the district. And she was a sign language girl.
You
Sign
with
up.
me?
She
Would
didn't
my
know-
dad know?
Southern District Choir right over there?
I mean,
She didn't know how to sing yet.
does
but
my
they
father
said
know
they
I'm
were
going to
good.
Japan?
I don't know. Have you told him? I'll talk to him.
What'd you ask?
He texted me the other day, or yesterday or today, I don't know.
Who you there?
He was like, "Oh, my sister sent me pictures of you guys. Seemed like you guys had a lot of fun." Something like that.
Where? Where'd you have fun?
At my tia's house.
Oh, we went to my
Oh, that's
She
fun.
invited them once to have dinner there.
Yeah. Dinner was actually really good.
Oh, the dinner?
Yeah, the dinner was so good.
There's just those meals that are just like
Where is it?
attack the soul.
What you make?
Chicken and rice?
My mom made it.
Pollo.
Arroz con pollo.
But it was so good. I was sitting there like, I hadn't eaten since
And
breakfast.
plantain.
Yeah. So it was a long day. I had not eaten anything since breakfast. I was like bordering on a headache. And I started eating. I was like, oh, yeah, it's so good.
Can I have a cake?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look at that. See what you did?
You want one more, Tata?
No, I'm good.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm rude. Not rude, but I don't know. So I'm just gonna say it. You probably noticed this too. You noticed that our Tia Tata has had this sort of like, I don't know about change of heart, but change of something where like she seems to really want like company over.
Anybody want
She
to
does.
cake?
She does.
Yes,
Does,
Nana.
and she needs it.
So only us.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to sound like ew, like why is she trying to hang out with me, but like
She changed. She went to a special classes. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't.
She went to anonymous. Don't tell her. But she came.
Well, why are you telling me then?
Because I know you know how to keep a secret.
That's
This
none
is
of it's
Theo.
none of my business if she told you.
She's
No,
come and she's
She's
talking
being
about it.
forthcoming about it.
She's expressing before you. She couldn't accept that she was drunk. And now she's even saying it. When I heard her saying it, I said, oh my God, this is good.
But she you weren't there, I guess, and
Anybody?
these guys have talked to her. Did you notice that, Oscar? Oscar, did you notice that? Yeah.
I say keep an open mind.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying something I noticed, and I'm like, I wonder what caused that. Yeah,
It was cool.
yeah, but she's very
Have you met Louis?
She
Yeah,
wants,
right?
she wants, not with a
Giselle's
clean
husband?
mind, Jaja, with a clean mind, she wants that relationship.
yeah.
When you're an addict, a lot of times you're an addict, even though everybody knows you're an addict in hiding. Because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to see them the way they
Yeah,
are.
no, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm just saying. I
But
just
that
noticed
has a lot
she
to do
was-
with the reason why she stayed away so much.
I mean, I'm sure.
She just
Oh,
wants.
she's clean now?
Sure.
Huh?
She's clean?
She has her ups and downs. She has her
Yeah, but she stayed away from it.
but she's staying away from it more often than not.
She sounds like she's making progress.
Yeah.
She was all kind of.
Well, the merch fact
Oh,
that
say.
she talked about it tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like
arms
Like
open, sort of.
She
Yeah.
openly
Open.
said she had wasted because she said she never enjoyed the growing up of her children. She goes, because I wasted so much time in, well, why am I gonna lie about it? She goes, alcoholism and drinking, because that's the honest truth. You know, I wasted my time with alcoholism and drinking.
And she was talking about the fact that, her children are grown, and where did their growing up years went? Down the drain. And now with the baby and her family getting larger and her nietos are coming,
this one, Tia.
and she says, no vale la pena.
No, what she really said was,
Alright, I guess
I don't
I'll
want
eat
to
it.
see I don't want to see myself as a grandma, and my grandkids come and find me all drunk.
I just know that she. I don't know how to say it.
You know Giselle's better?
Very like welcoming. She was like, you guys gotta come over more. Like kind of like. It's a different situation, obviously. Like different situations by like a lot, but because you always like to say how you didn't have a relationship with us when we were kids. So kind of when that started. Remember, like the starting point. You were like, hey, yeah, come over.
You want that?
And so she was kind of like that, kind of like, yeah, you guys come over whenever you want. She said, there's a room here always if you ever need it.
Tiene crema y leche.
Things like that.
She
And
said,
wants us to
You
come.
don't even have to ask for permission. Just let me know. Just let me know you're coming.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start going there every Sunday now.
Yeah, right.
What?
She cooks.
I don't care.
That's my Tia.
It don't look like any of you guys are starving.
Hey, you know what though? When I come here, I have to ask like, hey, Tia,
Is there food?
Might I have to bring something for everybody? I'm kidding. I think it's cool.
You still have 2 tacos?
Oh, that's for 1 month.
We'll be there every Sunday now.
I just think it's cool.
But I'm not gonna have cake. I don't think so.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I was very happy to
What's this?
see Lauren and Olivia.
Yeah.
And freaking Giselle too.
She was really nice.
Who's Olivia?
A friend.
Oh, Lawrence lover? Why are you all awkward?
I know, why does this get weird?
I don't know.
Oh yeah. Very cool.
Lauren has a girlfriend?
Wrong side.
I was like, what is that?
I wonder what the deal was though, because Andre was telling me. Actually, I don't want to gossip. No.
After you bit Tata's head off?
Yeah, because you guys talk, man.
But it wasn't gossip though. She actually
Well, you guys gossip.
said it.
Well, anyway, Andre was telling me that
because you said that.
he knew that Lauren had a girlfriend for a long,
Was it here?
super long time. It never met her. I mean, I didn't. I knew too, but he was able to give me the exact date because they hung out. It was like something like in 2018. He's like, oh, okay, can't wait to meet her. In like years at that point. So I don't know what that was about, but
Is that why she lived up in LA?
By hiding, does not people.
No, that's where the girlfriend part was.
yeah. Well, Lauren lived up in LA for a long time. That's probably where they met.
Not for that long.
Yeah, well, lived up there for a while.
What's she doing? She's going to school or working or?
She's working.
She works at Starbucks and then she does her own little company.
Yeah. She
Remember,
jewelry.
Oh, that's right.
I bought Jade earrings from her. Yeah. Then I took them away.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Then what?
Why didn't you give them to me?
They were. I don't know. It felt weird.
You got him back?
Cause what?
They were in my possession. Like
You threw them away.
there was like a box of things that like she forgot to pack to like Santa Cruz. And some of the stuff was hers, but like I bought her those earrings and I'm like. No, it wasn't out of like spite or anything. Like I don't hate her like at all.
Had you already given them to her?
Yeah.
Fool!
Yours to
Come
throw away?
on!
Yeah, yeah.
You're a piece of
I
trash.
thought it was weird. Yeah, I talked to you about it. You were the one who
Yeah,
told me.
what
You were
do I-
like, dude, that's weird. Like, what? She's gonna wear that to like her next date?
Just
She's
save
like,
it
oh,
for
I
your
like your
next.
earrings. Where'd you
Just
get
save
them?
it for your next girlfriend.
Oh, so throw away your Mickey shirt. Throw away your Mickey's gym shirt.
Did she give them back to you? Is my
Oh.
question.
No, there was just a box of things that she didn't pack.
And she left it behind.
I know, but how you get a hold of them?
I was holding some of her stuff for her.
She left them behind because she had.
So she didn't give them to you.
Get him, Nana. Look at Nana's all upset.
Yeah, that's messed up, man.
Yeah, I told
It was
her.
a gift.
It's pretty bad. Oh, not mad. She's sad. She's like, oh, I get it though. I'm like,
So, did Tata see the video of her fighting yet?
Oh my god. That
yeah,
video was
I think I
awesome.
did. I think I showed
She's
her.
good. She's got a future. I can make her a
Did she
champion.
beat up that girl in the college?
Who?
Jade.
She did
Jade.
boxing.
It was a
What?
it was a friendly sport. It was her and a friend put on some gloves.
Oh yeah.
And
It wasn't a friendly sport. It was like an exhibition. There was like 100 people there.
Oh yeah.
Like
I showed
the
you.
college,
No, I
the college has like backyard fights, and some
Not the
girl
college.
challenged her or she challenged somebody, and
Who?
they videotaped and everything. Jade.
Oh, really?
She's a baller. She's a boxer.
You know what? Hey, you know what?
Was it like street fighting type of thing, or was
Boxing.
it like?
Boxing gloves.
Boxing.
They had to stop the fight. She was too fierce.
You know, there was a college somewhere in the Midwest, somewhere like
Makes me happy every time I watch that video.
have my napkin, have another napkin, and keep selling them from New York, and they had a fundraiser, a boxing match. The guy got hit in the head so hard that he died from a college match, and they were both amateurs. And then you see the videos, and it doesn't look like anything.
Just when he hit
Well,
the
it was
right
back of the
spot.
head.
And,
But he went down, and then they called, he went to the hospital and he died. And it was an exhibition match. It was just college kids doing a fundraiser. You paid to
did they
watch
have real
it.
gloves on?
Did they make a lot of money?
Gloves, and they had the little soft helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And he got hit, like, must have been like such a weird spot. And he died. He was like 20.
I wanna do
Or,
boxing.
Like 18, 19, just went to college.
He probably had like a
School,
weak
they're suing the
a
school.
weak area.
Probably God's plan.
You got
Yeah, he didn't tithe. He would
Well,
have tithed the week before. It'd been fine.
think about it. If he got murdered with gloves, wrapping, and a helmet, some guy was gonna hit him. He's gonna die.
It's natural selection, dude.
deficiency.
You would have got a car accident, just hit his
Yeah,
head a little
but
bit.
it's not like a really violent match.
Bump his head on the
It
Yeah,
cabinet.
sure, 'cause
you know,
they-
like going
they
up.
both-
It's just like COVID, bro.
Yeah, they
Just let
can
natural
do-
selection
but
do
they
its
can do
thing.
the school though.
They are suing the school.
See?
Because the school's the one who did the event. They hosted it as a fundraiser.
Yeah, but it's all.
I
You
know
don't
they
have
do.
to join or nothing.
Well, the reason why they have a some type of case, because I thought the same thing. All they're adults. They didn't have a referee, and they didn't have an ambulance standing by, and they're supposed to have both for stuff like that. So there were little things that the school dropped the ball on that made their lawsuit valid. It's still going on, but I'm sure
You get
they're
a good
gonna-
lawyer, you're gonna make it valid.
Yeah. Well, those two things alone made it. If they had those things, they probably would have had a case.
Isn't that the principal could be sick and not there, they could make it work.
Yeah.
In Mexico, they have like these Indias from
Yo,
they wear those heavy duty skirts and all. Once a year
I
they get
was so
together.
mad. At that
and
point,
they
was
go
my
and
breaking point with you.
They
Because you were
box.
talking the whole
Yeah, I
time.
see this.
But
And then
they're funny.
literally Daredevil came on. You're like, bro.
No, then you have the guy.
He's
But they do clean hands. They don't have boxing gloves.
Oh, sweet love.
That was pretty cool in the documentary where they were showing her like body that other girl.
Dude, that
And
was
then they were
sick.
showing like the videos that she was studying like side by side. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was
she was
actually
good.
cool.
That's what you're supposed. That's what a lot of the greats do. It's like punch, back up. You know.
You know, remember that case about that lady who fell in Petco Park with her 2-year-old son?
Oh yeah,
she
it's
jumped
murder.
out?
No, someone pushed her.
No,
No, she jumped off.
No,
it's
Jumped
been
off.
ruled as a suicide
no.
murder.
They.
I read it. That's right.
She got killed.
She jumped off, but they
Jumped off what?
Okay.
The
She
little.
jumped off
stadium.
the stadium, the third story with her kid. She
A baby.
She suicide, but they charged her, even though she's dead, with murdering
Oh,
her
okay.
kid.
So I saw the murder part. So I thought it was.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Well, what does it even matter? Who cares what it's called? Or two dead people.
The reason they prove that is because she got caught jumping on top of the table, on top of that, and falling off close to the edge.
Yeah, but they made. I don't think from the videos that I saw that she was trying to.
Well,
I haven't
even if
seen-
she's not
I haven't
trying
looked
to.
at the videos.
It doesn't. She just looks like she's like she's partying, sitting
Yeah.
on the table. I think she was probably drinking, and I
With
think
a
it was
baby?
obviously like an accident.
Well, it doesn't say anything about there being, because they said it was like a full investigation as far as like interviewing the people,
Who was the Petco?
I really
Park
thought she was
her
pushed off
history, her
at the beginning.
background.
I thought she
Because the
got
politics.
But when other people
they laugh.
testify that they seen her jumping the
Any
table,
proud San Diegan? It's funny when people ask us where we're from, we could say like San Diego, huh? Technically, like those people that say like, "Oh yeah, I live in Los
Yeah, you don't
Angeles."
have to be embarrassing saying you're from Los.
Los
The
Angeles.
peanut.
No, but I'm just saying people say all the time like, "Oh yeah, I live in Los Angeles," but they mean like the county, yeah, like Orange County, like
his bark is. He barely
Anaheim.
barks, but when he does, he yells. He doesn't bark, he yells.
So we could say that. Yeah, I live in San Diego. That'll save a lot of confused
You live in San
faces.
Diego?
All right,
Where
here goes a question for Tata. What is the earliest memory you have with your dad? The earliest thing you can think as a child of one thing.
San Diego,
Pass, please.
3 years old.
3 years ago.
3 years old.
Oh, 3 years old.
I heard that same thing.
3 or 4. It had to be someplace around there.
What was it?
Because I guess he used to go out getting drunk when he was younger. I don't know, because I don't remember my dad and my grandma Virginia. And I remember my grandma Virginia, and I remember my uncles, Joe, Tia Chata, Tia Lucy, Tia Mary, all of them, even Tia Mary's husband. I remember the chickens my grandma had. I remember my Tio Ralph had doves, wild doves. He had little cages on the side of the back of the house. I remember the
Teresa, do you show mom
something
your
with a tree. I don't know if it was a fig tree or something in the
good, huh?
backyard.
Hey,
A little detail like that I remember. I remember the church right next door. And I remember we moved. And
From Fillmore?
from my grandma's house. And we moved across the church and the back of the church. And I got a picture of that, the yard and everything. The angle of the door of the house. I remember a dog grabbing a little puppy grabbing my pants. He was playing with me. And I remember, no, that's where I remember my dad took the dog and took him to the dump.
Oh my god.
And because he couldn't feed me and my sister, and Blanche was being born. And the dog actually came back. I was laying on the sofa like this, taking a nap
What a G.
during the day. And all of a sudden, I heard something in the door, and the dog was and the dog, and I remember I said, I can't remember the name of the dog. I remember, oh, no, boys, aquí lo tuvimos en San Marcos. The dog is back in the dog. And then my mom liked him, but you know, the dog came back by himself. I don't know how far the dump was, but the dog actually came back to the house.
It was right next
Dogs
door.
don't hold grudges.
And that's your earliest memory?
Yeah, that is Fillmore. Now that I remember, it was Fillmore.
Your
But
dad trying to kill a dog?
but images of him in the house with us is San Diego.
It's your earliest memory of Tata.
Oh, so what is the in that time period? What is the story that maybe I don't know? Maybe you don't want to tell us or never told us. But why is your grandma so prominent in the relationship of the kids?
From there on, I don't remember when it started, but my dad moved to Solana under the dungeon, under the pastor's house. There was a hole, and they let us sleep in there. Grandma was with us from there on.
Which grandma? Like great grandma?
¿De cuál grandma estás hablando?
His grandma.
Yeah, well, my grandma
Pues
is.
he had two.
Oh, which is the one that in my brain seems like somebody was very involved and I want to say raised you guys.
Tacha.
Oh, that was Tachita.
There was what?
Raised you
Raised-
guys.
raised-
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Grandma Tachita. Her name was Anastasia.
Okay.
But everybody call her Tachita.
So what is the true
You-
story?
Why were they like this? So
Well,
tight
what's the
relation-
story? What's the story?
The
Okay.
story is
Let-
my grandpa used to beat her up. My grandpa used to have concubines on the side, and he'd bring the kids to grandma for taking care of the kids, and she would take care of them, and people would say, you know, what?
She would take care of his lover's kids.
And they would say, why do you do this? And she wasn't a Christian, no, she had a good spirit. She'd say, the kids have nothing to do this. They're innocent.
No es
They get
culpa de
hungry,
los niños.
and she would feed them. And then my dad found out about this, and finally he went out there and he stole her. And he brought her back to the United States.
Stole her?
Yeah.
His mom.
Yeah. He had to take
From
her-
the dad, from the dad.
His dad.
Yeah.
So he went. So
He
your-
would have killed them if he didn't.
Yeah. So your dad went to go pick up his mom and just took us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the kids too, or no?
No, there was no kids. They were all adults.
Teresa,
What?
come listen to this.
I'm listening.
This is a movie.
But one day, my grandmother made up her mind that she was gonna leave. She packed her clothes, her suitcase, she went to the railroad train. And somebody blew the whistle. My grandpa had racing horses. He raced on his horse, took off to the railroad track, found my grandma with her suitcase
Going into the
train. He passed by with a horse, grabbed her by her hair, wrapped her around his hand, and dragged her all the way back to the ranch.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's what I told my uncle. Why didn't you do nothing? You were there. And then he told me, son, you don't understand. I was born under your grandpa's authority. I was bullied since a baby. And my oldest uncle was actually, they claimed that my grandpa killed him because he did something wrong, and he, instead of whipping him with a bell, he got him with a stick.
He beat him up.
And
He beat him up with his dad.
he got so sick after that they claimed that he died from fever.
Is this
But-
your dad's brother?
Yes, his oldest brother.
His tío.
And
No.
what was his name?
Yeah, he
Angel.
says rather.
Angel.
Angel.
And when they finally seen
So it
that-
would have been Margarito, Benjamin, and
and
Angel.
Uncle, Uncle, Margarito, and my dad. My
Did
dad
Angel
was
have
back.
any kids?
No, he was a young kid.
Okay.
He was still at house, at home. And when they finally seen that he got a fever and he wouldn't
He
get
probably
up.
had internal injuries.
Yeah,
Or I don't
did
know.
have a fever.
They called they sent him to a hospital. It was too late, and they said that he died from fevers. But Bobby's mother and they were related through the other side of the family, and they said no, your uncle beat him to death, but they never told that story, and everybody knew about it.
Yeah, and back in those days,
By
The
grand,
doctors, they were none of the reporting ni nada de eso.
that was nothing.
They
That's
se
up in
murió,
the
se
ranch.
murió, and that's their business.
And Grandpa had a big influence. He was a treasure from the city, and he was, very boasty, proud, beautiful racing horses, high breed, roosters, cattle, the ranch. So he was like a. That's why you have a lot of bañuelos, because they used to have the famous, what do they call them, corridos, where they have the not the mariachi, they used to have the
Corridos, así se llama.
yes, but the
Juncos or
no
juncos.
no the mariachis were the one that would sing, but they were the uniform with the horse and the big sombreros, charros, charreadas. And they would have these big old dances and parties and bring the bands in and everything. And then it got to the point that some young men came from Jalisco that were bañuelos, but they didn't know that they were bañuelos. That the girls from over here were bañuelos. And the big contrast was that Grandpa was very white. Grandma was on the she wasn't black, but she was on the darker side. She was more of the Indian, the short, So that's why you see my dad and Uncle, they say Uncle was very light. And a lot of they started growing and you would have the mixture of the Spanish big eyelashes, beautiful eyelashes. And they would come to the charreadas. And when that would happen, then they would fall in love. And one of the things that was very strong was that they know was that there was blood in between. And the blood actually draws you. And they would fall in love and they say, hey, babe, not baby because I was on this, but me caes bien, I'm gonna come for you, and or they would make a deal and then vámonos, and they would take off. And 3 days later or a week later, they'd go to their dad. It says, papi, me traje esta muchacha, me la robé, and I want to marry her. So they would go back to Zacatecas, and they go to the priest, because everything the priest was done with the priest. And the priest says, well, yeah, we'll marry you. And then they would go to, hijo, ¿cómo te llamas? José. ¿Y tu apellido? Bañuelos. Oh, tú eres Bañuelos. Mija, ¿cómo te llamas tú? María. ¿Y tu apellido? Bañuelos. ¿Cómo que Bañuelos? Ustedes no se pueden casar. He says, pero ya está embarazada. And they found out they were primos lejanos. No. Because of the two Bañuelos that came from Spain. One stayed in Zacatecas, one went to Jalisco. They both multiplied and married. And years later, they would come to their parties, they fall in love with and then it got famous. Las muchachas de Zacatecas son bonitas. So they would go to the parties because they know there were beautiful girls there.
So he went to go steal his grandma, pick up his grandma, brought him to the United States.
Mm-hmm. His mom.
His mom.
Yeah. Grandpa went to go
grandma.
pick
Right.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Your great grandmother.
our great grandmother.
Okay, which is Virginia.
No, mijo.
That's on grandma's side.
Anastasia.
Anastasia Enriquez.
Anastasia was grandpa's mom.
That's what the real Bañuelos.
You never knew her.
Grandma Virginia was Grandma Vera's mom.
Okay, so Anastasia came into the picture because Grandpa picked her up. Was already married to your mom.
Mm-hmm.
How many kids did she have? He had then.
Who?
Grandpa, your dad.
It was Alice. Oh no, 4. Alice, me, Blanche, and Becky.
And then he picked up his mom.
I don't know if she picked her up when Becky was born or before Becky was born. But
around that time.
Yeah, but Grandma comes into my picture when Becky was already there. My dad made us move to go live in Tijuana, where he could go play poker and go to the bar, blah blah blah, and everything was. And he was working here now. And
You think your dad will play a poker game with me?
no, he won't. He'll never touch a poker card.
Wait, why?
He says that was my
It was his vice.
yeah.
Would he touch a goldfish card?
Goldfish?
Yeah, the goldfish, I mean.
I know we used to have a goldfish
Hey,
before.
talking about that, I had a question.
He used to feed it.
Hold on. Okay, so Anastasia comes into the household,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where she got involved in helping with raising kids, or
Yeah, she was our
Well, she
main
lived
cook.
with them.
She was our main cook.
She used to do everything for them. Lo que pasa, amigo, es que su mamá empezó a trabajar. So she, you know, she would work. She was out of the house every day, so the kids get very attached to their grandma.
what did your mom do?
Clean homes.
Clean homes,
So she was cleaning homes. Your dad was out there
gardening.
gambling, and
And
drinking.
Yeah.
Man, what a life.
I know. I never
Sounds
knew.
familiar.
I never remember my dad drunk. Alice, she's 1 year older than me.
She has a memory.
She has a memory of something that I never caught. But remember, she's a girl and I'm a boy. There's this lady that used to come. She told me that not a few months ago. Remember that lady that used to come to the house in San Diego? I said, yeah. I don't remember, but I remember there was one lady. She was a smoker. I remember the smoke. I remember the smoke. And another lady that came that she was breastfeeding, and I was just a little kid. And then she popped her, and she gave it to me, and I go, yeah. And I went and I was very scrupulous when I was a kid. Very, very, very.
When you were a kid?
Yeah.
Scrupulous?
What is scrupulous?
That's not even a word. You made it up.
Escrupuloso.
Okay, you made it a word.
Well, look it up. You'd be surprised how many words I
What
make
is
up
that?
and they're
What
hell.
is scrupuloso?
You know, like a person that
That sounds like a
No,
commercial,
this
huh?
is escrupuloso. Here, you need to blow your here, blow. No, I'm not gonna blow myself with that. That's used.
Oh, gross.
Oh, like a germaphobe?
That grossed out.
Yeah, I could not. A lot of things.
Oh, someone put a chichi in my face, I wouldn't.
can you imagine?
Anyhow, I remember that, and then Alex told me, yeah, but that lady, I don't know which one she's talking. She was in love with my dad. I said, what do you know about a woman? He goes, Victor says, I was there. I could see her. I said, you're just a little girl. And she goes, yeah, I was just a little girl, but I could see her in her. You know, I don't know, and I believe her because I remember things that my brothers tell me. That's a lie. You couldn't remember, you know, when I was living in Fillmore, that I was maybe 2 years old. They said you can't. It's impossible. And then I bring my grandma. Says, remember there was a tree here? Yeah. Remember the chickens? Yeah. She says, and I remember. She said we used to go to the backyard where the chickens used to lay the eggs. And guess what we do? We get the egg. Okay. We get
Did Grandpa ever hit your mom?
no.
Like this?
Why are you looking at me?
Get a toothpick and I would poke a hole in the egg. Then I would poke it and get it wet and then put it salt and put it in a couple of times and then and grandma remembers that.
That was very common. My mom taught us to do that.
You used to do that to us when we were little kids.
That's disgusting. Wait,
It's not
you
disgusting.
poked a hole and then you ate the raw egg?
Yeah,
Yeah, we just poke it with
and
a
we're still here.
toothpick and we put a little bit of salt. Later I found out that they used to do something different. They used to poke 2 holes and then you could suck it and just go right through. I never.
Oh, you mean 2 holes for the air
Yeah.
to go through?
Mhm.
Okay, that's why.
I never did that, but I seen it later, and but it was a beautiful experience
So,
with
did you-
grandma.
Did your dad have kids with other people?
No,
No?
Not that he knows them.
Well, did you ever do the DNA test?
Yes, I did.
Oh, the 23andMe? Did you do? Oh, you'll know. It's some mix, babe. Some mix.
Did you do it?
I bought them because on New Year's Eve there was a buy one get one free sale.
Mm-hmm. We got it in Valentine's
You
Day.
bought him and you didn't do him?
I haven't done them yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, we'll see. This New Year's.
So it's I did the 23andMe and then I got the Ancestry Health one so they can like check your DNA like for health. I did that more because there was like prostate.
23andMe
stuff.
has one like that now,
Yeah, I got that one. That's the one I got.
but you said the family ancestry.
No, the 23andMe, because they have a kit that's like the ancestry, and there's a health one.
Right,
So they'll
right.
check your DNA for health. Like if
Yeah,
there's
so
any-
the probabilities of you dying of
We didn't do that, huh?
no,
We
that's-
just do the very basic.
I did that one because it's just a new FDA test that came out, like the test like prostate cancer, like all that. Like I just like to get. We're gonna do probably this week.
Okay,
I
so
want
back,
to do one of those,
back
but
to
I'm
the
scared
story.
of what I'll find.
Me too. I'm probably gonna go tell
so-
my DNA somewhere.
So up until before Grandpa got baptized, él también era mujeriego.
I don't remember that. Okay.
Again.
I'm sure.
He was more into vicios de.
Yeah, he
de
was around his
gambling.
friends. He was like you, like he would be around other men and doing, you know.
Like you.
He
He was
like-
more like you.
Like
Yeah.
social.
Yeah. My dad was very, very
That's
social.
different.
That sounded like he was gay for a minute. He
But
went around
he'd be,
other men you're
he'd be
around.
out there like guys that play poker, you know, las cartas, and my dad would beat you every time because he was a cheater.
He was mañoso.
Yeah,
How would he cheat?
He knew.
he knew how to
People have skills like that.
how to manipulate the cards, and he says I would get the cards and I would be like this, and if I would look at the card and I could touch it, and he had his cards. They would use like razor blades.
Oh, to fill part.
And he would know, and he would pull, bang. He said he could win every time, but then he had to lose on purpose.
So that they wouldn't.
Yes.
Beat him up.
And one time he says there was a guy there that everybody was afraid of him, and he says my dad ended up beating him, and he's kind of looking at my dad, and I don't remember my dad being a fighter, and then he says we got to do one more, and my dad says, you know, I gotta let him win because you know but he said he you know, and then he would know when there was another guy that was also cheating. He would go and look at him. He goes, and they were kind of bounces, and he would go. He says, what do you mean? He says, let's go for it, and we'll split it. So they would
Honor
go.
amongst thieves.
Yeah, they would one win one time, one win, and after that they would go out and they split they would split the game. So that's why my dad.
Why did you give up? He was making money.
When God deals with you, you die to the world.
Money is not everything.
Yeah, but Christians
Yeah,
die
money's
too.
a
You
lot.
know,
There's
everybody,
more money in preaching.
everybody dies just the same.
He wasn't counting cards. He was counting dividends.
You know, all of that. My dad was a faithful tither. He always believed, and he took 3 years just to receive the Holy Spirit. And it was the 4th year after he received the Holy Ghost that he was actually from the beginning preaching in camps, the braceros camps, the pickers of lemons, oranges, and all that kind of stuff. And they told him that he could not preach until he received the Holy Spirit. And he received the Holy Spirit after 3 years. But he had been already going to the braceros house, little camps, and they would bring his station wagon. He had a station wagon because he had a lot of kids, but he would bring him 3 ships from San Escondido to Solana Beach until he convinced the church that they needed to buy a bus. And they bought a bus and they would bring it full of braceros. When my dad received the Holy Spirit, Brother Rosas was his pastor, and they initiated him to the ministry as a diacono, you know, the ones that start the service and things like that. And my dad says that one day they said the preacher didn't show up, and Brother Rosas comes down to tells my dad, hermano Speitia no llegó.
So he wasn't prepared for anything.
Huh?
He wasn't prepared with anything because it wasn't his.
It wasn't him. He didn't have nothing special
He
prepared
wasn't
for
on
that.
the program.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and my dad says, yeah, I'll preach. Okay, hermanos, hermano Benjamín, va a hacer sus pininos, which is like his first little things, you know, like the boxer that's first time he goes up there.
Kind of
And-
like preparing, like be
Yeah.
Kind.
be kind.
Yeah.
This is his first go to rodeo.
And what Brother Rosas was shocked that my dad knew so much Bible. And he says
speak the word.
he did what he used to do with the braceros.
Tika.
He'd bring out a verse and then he'd explain it and started preaching and everybody was just amen, amen. And they were all rejoiced because they had never heard him. They weren't so much rejoicing because he was so good.
Yeah,
They
but
were
he had
just
3 years of experience.
yeah,
It was
but
new
they know
energy.
what they had never heard him.
It was new energy there.
Yeah, and they were all rejoicing and worshiping, and they said they couldn't believe it. And then Brother Rosas immediately put him in the list for ordination. And then a few years down the line, he put him as his assistant pastor. And then he started having problems with his wife. They took him off, and guess what? My dad was the pastor. And all the diaconos, look, the pastor's sons were diaconos way before my dad. They never made it.
What is that? Deacons? Or?
Deacons, yeah.
Yeah, they're not ordained ministers.
And they were the
but,
ones
like,
that would not
they're
show
like in
up when they were
preparation
told that
for-
you're going to preach. They wouldn't show up. That wasn't their calling. Just because dad was a preacher or the pastor, they thought it was, they didn't have it. And you know who was one of them? You know that guy from
Go ahead.
Fallbrook that has the little kid that kind of,
I don't think he knows him.
you know, Michi, you know the brother that does a upholstery shop, has a upholstery shop in Fallbrook?
Rosie's friend that died up in North Fallbrook, her parents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The girl that died. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That Michi's, that little girl's mom,
You have a phone right next to you.
that little girl's grandfather
Her dad.
is
Hey,
his brother's
4 to
Faithia.
5.
He was one of the deacons over here.
And his dad was.
Ask
Yeah,
them.
and his no,
Of course.
the little girl's grandpa was a deacon, and this
So I could take
deacon's father was a pastor, and there was another guy called Luis that was already a minister, I think. But then,
So how did your dad find God?
okay, my uncle got baptized in Zacatecas, someplace in Mexico,
Aquí en Margarita.
and he called brother Munoz. What was the one he used to pray for the sick? Gilberto Munoz. And he told him, you're in San Diego? He goes, yes. And he says, I have a brother, he said, that he drinks a lot and he needs the Lord. And he lives in San Diego. He says, give me his address. And he went to give Bible studies in my dad's house and convinced my dad and my mom to come to church. Well, my mom had been very brokenhearted because my dad had brought her to Tijuana, and my mom really loved my dad, but what happened is that she seen the breakdown of her husband going into drinking and staying up late, and he wasn't in the house no more. And finally she took me and Blanche and Alice, and I remember that as a dream. She took the train from San Diego all the way to Fillmore, and I remember it just stayed in my mind. I had never been in a train, but that stayed in my mind. The when it hits the the metal, the wheels, they hit. Anyhow, you want to hear it again? And then my dad gets home very late, and nobody's there.
In TJ.
In TJ, and they left Becky with a lady to take care of her. That's why my mom thought that, because she said she almost lost Becky. She got some kind of infection. They didn't know what happened, and she almost died. And now that what happened with Becky with her heart and all, my mom thought that maybe it had something to do with way when she was a baby, something happened in her system. Yeah.
So your mom left your dad.
Yes.
Officially left your dad.
Yes. And then dad.
She left Becky with some lady
Tijuana?
Well, how?
In Tijuana?
In Tijuana with a lady.
because she was too sick.
No, Becky wasn't sick.
She was the baby. She could not take everybody.
She got sick afterwards.
Oh, yes.
And then when my dad gets home and finds out mom's not there, well, he had spent all his money, and he didn't have money to buy paper, so he went and he cut the newspaper trimmings. The newspapers would have, let's say this is a newspaper, they want the ads right here, and they would have a little, maybe an inch and a quarter or 3/4 of an inch all the way around. Well, he cut it all the way around, and he wrote a letter to my mom in a strip of newspaper all the way around.
Wow.
Yeah, and put it in an envelope and sent it, and begging my mom to come back.
How
And
did he know she was there? In
Because,
Fillmore.
because great grandma
that's,
lived there.
that's where grandma was. Mom was from. She was from Fillmore.
Okay.
So she wrote to.
That's
I'm
Grandma
sure.
Virginia.
I'm
That's
sure
her
my
mom.
dad had memorized her address, just like I had mama's address memorized.
117 calle con Yucatán.
Uh,
Mexicali, Baja
and
California.
and then my mom answered my dad, and she says, "The only way I will come back to you is if you move to San Diego. I will not live in Mexico."
But why was there that stipulation?
Because he was partying down there.
My
I mean,
dad was
she-
come from work. Dad was working in San
She had no
Diego
control at
in
all.
the San Diego Mercy Hospital. He had a pretty good decent job,
Oh,
and he would work over here and go spend his money over there.
okay.
And it was easy to have mom or grandma, great grandma in a small place, maybe paying $5, $10 rent a month, and spending all the rest of the money, that much.
He was
stuff.
to disadvantage that they would live in Tijuana.
Oh,
It was so
okay.
cheap to live there, and he
Even
didn't
right
spend his
now, you
money.
can get a 2-3 bedroom house for like $350, $500. Go.
Not the cartel people.
And then so my dad accepted. Then they went and moved to I can't remember the name of the street. I gotta ask my dad what street that was, but it was 1 block, 2 blocks away from Weber, the Weber factory, where they used to make bread. We used to walk with my mom across one street, the next street, make a left, and the Weber
Bread store.
factory, whatever it was, a huge thing. It was right there, and my mom would go buy bread and pastry and things like that. There's where I remember my grandmother and playing in the sidewalk. Nobody taking care of me. There's a sidewalk, a street, and another sidewalk. Never worried about me running into the street. I remember running up and down that. I remember a little wagon that we used to have. We would get on top of the wagon and pull the handle up, and then we would steer it. And one day, this young kid came by, and he had a paper in his hand, and the paper had a design like an X, like a T, right through the, and then some little dots. And he got that paper, and he took it, he folded it right in half, and he did this, and he did this.
Little plane.
And he told me where it had lines, how to fold it like this, and then we did this, and then and remember I'm 3 years old, okay, and then we folded this, and then we folded this like this, and then we would fold this, and it was like a little hard little paper, and he showed me this, and then he says, "Look," and then he threw it, and it flew. And I don't know if he gave me a paper like that, but I never forgot it. And for a time, I couldn't remember. Then we were in school one day, and all of a sudden,
It struck you.
It hit me, and the kids were doing little things in it. And I said, "Oh, I know what to do." I did it. And now everybody wanted to know how to make one of those.
I could never figure it out when I was a
I
kid
stuck
growing
in
it up.
paper airplanes.
What I would do is I'd get sticky notes and I'd make like mini airplanes and just throw them into the roof.
The story's not about you right now. Everybody knows your story. You fell out of a 2-story house, hit your head.
3-story.
The guy was never the
And he
same.
can even make a plane.
I could before, but not
we used
now.
to make darts in school, and we have a teacher that we didn't like, and I'd take a potato or a carrot, and I'd take up a pen, the inside of the pen, and then I poke the inside and I put all the ink and blow all the ink, and then I'll put it in hot water, and blue ink coming out all over the place until there's nothing left. Okay, then I would find a hanger and I would cut it flat on one side that would barely fit inside of the pen.
Wow.
Okay, so then I would go and I get the carrot and poke it and break it, and it would plug one side. And then I would do the same on the other side. I'd poke it just a few millimeters, and then I would get and I would put the hanger, cut it, and then I would put a ring where I could put my finger into the ring. And I'd be sitting in school like this, you know, and all of a sudden I'd put the thing in that one side, and there's compressed air in the inside. And all of a sudden I go, I never want to tell you guys when I was school because I never told you this, huh?
No.
And all of a sudden, you know, we have kids that we didn't like in the other side, you know, this class, and the side, the pressure on one side would go to the inside, and it would compress the air, and then the other side.
You should try to make one now. See if you can still do it.
Oh, I know I could do it.
I mastered that.
Yeah, the worst thing was this: when I made darts, we'd get little papers, and we'd make. I know you guys are not in school no more, but
My kid, when I was in school, we have a gun, right? And a teacher we didn't like.
no, we'd make little things like this, and like this. Okay. And then we would put a pin.
You say hi to the dogs outside today?
Alfiler.
Safety pin.
A straight pin right in
A
here.
what pin?
A straight pin. A
straight
pin.
pin.
A pin.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then we would put glue right here, like this.
Excuse me.
You would put this glue right here, and it would get hard. Okay, so we'd have a pin right here. Okay.
Oh my god.
And then
This is going.
and then you could get a straw and put it right into the straw, and then cut right here. And these would be little fins. Okay. You put it through the straw, and all of a sudden you put a compressor, and then, and you know, it would fly through the room, and then in the wall, or you know.
Did you ever hit anybody?
No, with that I wouldn't try to.
Not on accident though.
Didn't Andre
No.
get suspended for or something doing like that? Like taking the ends of shoelaces and to somebody?
Who, me?
Andre. In Calvary.
No, not you, Anna.
Andre never got.
No, he got suspended for something. It had to do with the tips of a shoelace. I know that. Isaac Chu got suspended.
No, he
It's in Calvary.
got suspended when he got in with words with that teacher. Remember that you went to the meeting with me,
Who? Isaac?
Andre?
Did Andre say, "Oh my god," and they
Wait,
suspended
no,
him?
what happened? What happened?
He got into a fight with one of the teachers. It was
I don't know about this one.
he was in 6th grade, I think it was. He was already in middle school, and he was just very rude and disrespectful to the teacher. That was the
I don't
whole.
believe it.
Huh?
I don't believe it.
Yeah, and we got called in, and Victor went with me to the meeting.
What was Andre saying?
Was it the Christian school?
Yeah.
Should have sent for Teresa.
I'm the person you want for something.
Yeah, really.
But you know, it kind of because it was
crying. Oh, it was my fault. Sorry.
it was when everything had happened, and the teacher that this happened with, I think he just went to his boiling point. He kind of exploded, and
He was acting
he
out.
took it out on the teacher. And when the teacher was in the meeting, and he said, you know, actually, I've had a moment to talk to him, you know, and tell him that I too went through what he's going through, and that I understand what he's going through, and I understand why he's lashing out. But I'm here if he needs to talk, you know. So he had that, and you know, and I think Andre wrote him a letter, apologizing.
I used to make Isaac write all his teachers' letters.
No, but
Didn't he get suspended?
But he did it on his own. That was by the time we got to the meeting, he told us that he had received a letter from Andre, saying that you know that.
So
he
yeah, things were not so bad.
not so bad. Uh-huh.
When he was in powder, didn't he get suspended because he stole a bar?
Oh yeah, He stole food.
Well, feed your children. They won't steal food.
Like I didn't feed them. Like they would go to school. Like
Yeah, right there. Like,
was
homemade
hungry.
burritos
I
and
know.
everything.
Yo, dude, we would always
Only way to
steal.
open up
From
a white
Potterville?
napkin and there's
Yo,
a
we
fork, a metal fork.
we used to have an operation.
Potter,
in Potter.
high
Yeah,
school.
everybody
I stole food all
Yo,
6 years.
We'd have a guy with a backpack. We'd have like a distraction guy, and then a guy in the middle, and then a guy with a backpack, or a guy food. It was on pizza day specifically because the food sucked at Potter. It was horrible. But on Fridays, they'd give Little Caesars pizza in these boxes, one slice, and so everybody wanted a piece. And so we get a guy with a backpack, and then just like real quick. I don't think I ever got caught doing that.
You steal the boxes of pizza or slices?
Oh, you know what?
The boxes only had one slice,
Oh,
so
okay.
boxes on boxes. And then what we'd do is we'd stuff 2 boxes in the space here between your backpack and your back,
I believe you.
and then
You know what I used to do with the fat kids like you? Freaking, after you leave the cafeteria, because like they make you get a milk and they make you get carrots. There's this little box where it's like everything you don't want, right?
Yeah.
Like there's the room. So this is the room to the cafeteria. There's 2 sides of stuff. You just get stuff, and then you go outside, and then there's a box right here, right? Just all the things that nobody wants. Sometimes you'll find like a Subway sandwich or carrots, apples, whatever. But there was always a group of fat kids waiting around that box, waiting for like the pizza.
When it was
you
my-
know what I did? So it was a little box of like a box this big with 1 pizza slice in it, right? And we didn't get like little cartons of milk. We got bags of milk,
Yeah.
right? So like you can there's a slice of pizza in here. You can move it around. You can feel it, right? It's heavy. So I would just eat the pizza, and I put my milk bag in there. I just throw it in the bag, and then there's like 9 kids going to the
like
box.
vultures. Yeah.
He doesn't want his pizza. He doesn't want his pizza. And then open it. It's just a freaking milk.
In my year, they were all skinny. I remember, like the kids
It
in
was
my
so
grade.
funny.
I would do the same thing, but with grapes, not the milk
Maybe they
bags.
were poor and they were hungry.
Yeah,
Oh,
but-
it was funny.
Jeez.
All right, so where we're at in the story.
The milk bags.
When my sister told me that lady was in love with my dad,
Oh, okay.
and I couldn't believe that a little child, 1 year older than me, could pick up those vibes. But I believe her. I think
Well, women. They say women are more mature.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
but
gonna
she
say
was- but
that
she-
las niñas son más despiertas, they can probably detect.
and looking like Shayla. When Shayla was a little girl, Manuel Luis could not turn around and look at a lady. Just look at her, the little girl. Which was, what are you looking at, papi?
¿Qué estás mirando?
Huh? Just that little girl.
You mean Shayla, like the one that goes to our church?
She was very.
Wait,
very,
so that brother would look at women before marriage?
Okay,
yeah, you come to the house with your girlfriend and he would say hi to you and turn around and look at your girlfriend and say hi to your girl, and then she would say, ¿Qué estás mirando, papi?
I missed that. one.
It's not like he was actually checking
Flirting.
her out.
No. It was just like that. She would just, she'd sit right with him and just be watching his dad and see where he was looking, really.
What? So your dad moves to San Diego or Fillmore?
San Diego.
San Diego. Your mom comes back. They get together.
Mm-hmm. And then my
They have
tío.
another set of 6 kids.
No. Mm-mm. My dad gets meets brother Munoz, that my tío Margarito,
Another
okay.
set of 8 kids.
and he started going to the house, and
Is
he's
your grandma there yet?
Tachita
Anastasia.
Anastasia.
So she was. When did she move in? When you were in Fillmore or there in TJ?
No, right there in TJ. I don't remember.
But tomorrow we're
Although
gonna go
my
for
grandma
food, so-
Virginia remembers Anastasia. She remembers my grandma. But Grandma Virginia remembers my grandma.
Oh, okay.
Anastasia. But I remember my dad, my grandpa, Bañuelos comes from Zacatecas. My grandpa Alcocer comes from Zacatecas, and grandma was brought into the United States as an orphan, but she comes from Zacatecas.
Grandma Virginia?
Really?
Yes, and Bobby's mom, what's her last name?
Trejo.
Trejo. The Trejos are related to the Alcocer. back there. Okay.
So Bobby's family, we are double relatives because of his mom and because of his dad.
And then Brother Munoz comes to the house, and he's trying to befriend my dad and my mom and my grandma, and apparently he came to do like Bible studies. And I remember the first or second time that he came, he taught us a little song. Día tras día, por mí está velando el buen pastor, de noche y de día el Salvador me guía, alumbra mi camino donde voy. Clama a mí y te responderé. Así dice Jeremías 33:3, clama a mí y te responderé. Yo te enseñaré, clama a mí y te responderé. And I learned it. I was just a little kid. Then the time comes that he invites my mom and my dad and my mom, my dad, and my grandma to church on a Sunday. And guess what? They made an altar call, and my mom was crying in the altar. And everybody thinks that my dad was the first one that got converted, because grandma used to always blame my dad for my mom's conversion. But my dad tells me, your mom was in the altar. Why? Mom was broken, you know, seeing the man she loved. My dad was good looking when he was young, and all of a sudden he's becoming a drunkard, and all of a sudden he's not there at home no more, you know, and all of a sudden his work money is gone. My mom says that she learned how to pickpocket my dad and take his money away, and all of a sudden she couldn't find his money no more. And then she found out my dad's putting his money in the stockings inside his shoes. My mom finds the money inside his shoes, in the stockings.
Hey, Germany, did you take your shoes off?
Yeah.
She does the same thing.
She's
Pañuelos.
And my mom gets baptized. I think I was the second. Brother Munoz says, let's wait for the next Sunday. We'll talk to the
How
pastor.
old was she when she got baptized?
Let me see. She was 15.
She said in her early 20s.
17, 18, 19 or 20.
Oh, so very young.
I'm breaking because we were almost 1 year apart. And I think she was 15 when she got married. And,
Jeez.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like you.
Grandma Virginia was married at 14.
Yeah.
That's just
But that's a
child.
different story. She got married because she wanted to leave
Yeah, but
her
that's another
aunt's
story.
house. Anyhow, mom's crying at the altar, you know, wanting a change. And then she decides to get baptized. My dad decides to get baptized. Grandma Tata decides to get baptized. And then Theo Ben gets baptized.
Who's
All
Theo
in the
Ben?
same. Theo Ben, my brother Ben.
Oh, you love it?
Yeah, my mom was pregnant with him.
Oh, menso. I was gonna say he was a baby.
Yeah, I was like that too.
We're not
I
counting.
was waiting for the
connection.
somebody to question that. Yeah, and everything changed from there.
Bless you. God bless you.
From there,
Come on, like that.
Mm.
One more.
Assalamu alaikum.
We're gonna
I
have
don't
to watch
know
that.
what happened.
Gotta eat
He
right
changed
now.
jobs. Came looking for a job here in Vista. He got his sister rented him a underhouse walls with cement, everything really nice, but really small. So the pastor told my dad if he wanted, they could live under their house. They also had, but it was all dirt walls, and all we could see is the beams of and we could hear the brothers up when they would. And we lived there. I don't know how many years.
But what the funny thing is that him and I have so many things in common, so many, and one of them is that his dad.
Well, your grandma lived with you guys too, huh?
Oh yeah, all her life. Yeah. His dad was drinking, so when he went to church, he wasn't drunk, but he took his beers, you know.
To church.
No.
Well, you know when
I was
I mean,
like, wow, that's
no.
different.
And when my dad went for the first time to church, he wasn't drunk, but he
had been drinking.
had been drinking.
So you mean like he was like kind
He
of
wasn't drunk.
He was hungover. You mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wasn't drunk, but he had
Had a
drank.
Uh-huh.
And
He had been drunk.
And my dad, the first time he went to church, and then there at the altar, he asked for baptism, and they baptized him the following Sunday, just like his parents.
Wow.
Igual.
So your guys' life could have been a completely different turn if your parents weren't.
Any normal?
Yeah, of course. My dad would have gone down the drain just like Grandpa.
He's the one that made
The only
the
difference.
You had 11 brothers and sisters?
Mm-hmm.
And you had 12?
Well, technically, you guys had 13.
13. We were 13. And they were 12.
And you both didn't have TVs in the house?
No TV.
Nobody
Not
did.
even a radio.
Nobody did.
This morning.
Nobody did.
Not even a radio.
And the other day, there was a posting in Facebook. Oh, I enjoyed it so much.
Is that a
Somebody-
chocolate chip
It's not
cookie?
good.
No.
Sugar for you.
Oh no.
Somebody posted. She says, if you were born in like 1950 through 1980 some, he said you must watch this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know. So he says, remember when nobody had TVs
Oh my God.
and there was only like
the one that I saved for
like
you?
one
You're gonna
person
throw 'em away?
in the neighborhood that had TV.
You're welcome.
And all the kids of the neighborhood would go there
I can't have
to
it.
watch TV, you know.
You want
So
one?
they show like those
They're
old
the way
TVs,
you and me
know,
like them.
Frozen.
Frozen.
I'm full.
those old TVs, and then they show like in a room, and they show like 10 or 12 kids sitting on the floor, you know, just watching. And that was us, you know. We'd be
Across the
just
street, huh?
playing, but across the street from us, that was one TV, and then way down on the other side of the callejón at the end,
Coconut.
there was
No.
another TV. Pero allá no íbamos. Aquí they were our friends. They were everybody's friends, so everybody
Oh
would
yeah,
come.
if you're only TV in the neighborhood, you're gonna have a lot of friends.
We'd be playing in outside, and then say, hey, Viruta y Capulina va a empezar, y everybody would run.
Everybody's going
Uh-huh.
Well, they let him inside the
And-
house. I'd be behind those blinds, looking to the blinds in the neighbor's
No,
house.
nosotros si nos portábamos bien, nos dejaban entrar a la casa. You know, a bunch of kids, can you imagine? Y lo decía, enseñaba eso, y lo decía, remember when, dice, we were the last generation. We actually, those people that were born in those times, we were the last generation when there were no TVs and people would gather, and your parents wouldn't even
Weren't
worried.
worried.
They wouldn't worry, you know, that you were stuck in somebody else's home, you know. And then they said we were the last generation that in school you were free to play with anybody and everybody, and you would drink out of
Fountain?
the water fountain, you know, without worries that
Or out of the hose.
that and then enseñan a kid out of the hose, you know. He said, and nobody would get sick, you know. And then he says, you know, we were the
And
last.
then everybody had a Coke and they, hey, let me have
we
some.
were the last generation
Share a Coke.
when you would share un refresco, you know. A kid would have it and would pass it around.
And
Nobody
again,
thought-
there's where I come in. I would not drink out of your cup.
Nobody thought anything about
Yeah,
it, you
was
know.
normal.
And they said we were the last generation when kids would play actual games like canicas, trompos, you know,
Hopscotch.
los encantados, you know, when you would
Hide
tag,
and seek.
hide and seek, todas esas cosas, you know. And it's so true, you know, so true.
Tell Teresa your game that you used to play with the light outside.
Can you imagine?
With electrical cord.
I think I told her, huh?
I don't know what game was it.
You know, we didn't have toys.
Well,
So we
she's
were
been to
looking
my,
for-
She's been to my tío David's house, so she
Okay,
knows.
we were I mean we would look for anything and everything to play, and we would have a blast,
To have pleasure.
you know, playing with whatever. So my brother Ismael, Claudia's dad, one day he said, you know, come on, le decía, vénganse, you know, we're gonna, I have a game, we're gonna play. So ahí vamos todos, you know, y no creas, not just us in the house, but we were always mingling with all the kids, you know. So you have like 10, 12 kids there. It had rained that day, okay? So he gets up on a ladder on the side of the house, like when you get out through the back door, there's like a wall, and then there was a light there, but that light that you screw up a bulb.
And just hanging on a wire because they would put the positive and negative to the light bulb. And
So he gets on the ladder and he gets that thing, and we're just wondering, what is he gonna do? What we're gonna play. So he gets it down. He said, "We're gonna make a circle, and everybody holds hands." So there we are, all holding hands.
Who's all there?
All the kids.
All of them?
But
All of them.
David was a little baby yet.
I mean, I'm not talking about all my brothers.
Friends, neighbors.
I'm talking my sisters and my brothers that were like our age, like Ismael's age. He was a teenager, okay? But I'm talking about all the other kids that are hanging out,
All the neighbors.
And then we're all hanging, okay, ready? And then he would get that thing. And then we'll all start
You get the hot wire, electrical wire.
And the whole, everybody, we just be there.
But you think they quit? Is that okay?
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Oh my god. That would
I
be
know.
so bad.
Yeah, that's just kind of what happens when you get a bunch of kids, nothing to do, huh? You find anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did he learn that from?
His friends, he has friends.
He probably imagined
I don't
maybe
know.
he touched it and got shocked and he let's see.
Let me share this with the world.
Yeah.
Well, look at the kids that used to get electrocuted years ago, because now these are set up with breakers. But years ago, you have a little kid with a pin and he'd find the outlet and he'd go in there and poke it, and he'd be out the floor on this side. And many times they would find him killed because they would open and they would poke both the positive and the negative. So the current would be going through you. And they did find him right there all burned.
Yeah, but going back, that posting had so many things.
That you could relate to.
They said we were the last generation to where
You could
all
go to
kids
school
walked
without.
to school from their homes, and nobody cared. I mean, it was totally fine. You would walk so long, so far, and your parents were okay. You were safe,
And then you guys grew up and started kidnapping us, all right?
Yeah.
We used to walk about a mile to our school, and then the junior high school was
2 miles.
3/4
The
mile,
high school was 3 miles.
and that was no problem. All the girls and the boys be walking up,
But anyway, that posting had, all truth. That's true. I could identify with everything they said.
Do you have it? Could you pull it up? Or you lost
No,
it?
I just saw it. I should have saved it.
Did you like it?
I don't even remember. Maybe so. No, I don't
She did like it, but she didn't poke it.
No, because if you press the like button, there's like
A la mejor sí lo hice
there's a
like.
section in your settings where you can look at everything you've ever liked before, and you might be able to find it there.
That's good. For you to repost it.
Yeah, but
Our favorite game was the Quiet Game.
My grandma Tachita became a
was Andre's
very,
favorite.
very, faithful lady. She would go to work in Rancho Santa Fe, like, cleaning or whatever. Sometimes they would give her, ironing,
So I have a question.
and they would give her money, and she would put a dime for every dollar. She didn't know how, she didn't go to school. She'd put, and then she'd go to tithing to church, and she'd put all the dimes.
she had always
No,
como
that's
barrito.
it.
Yeah, I always carried a little thing like this.
I think it lasted.
Her money was
Un
right there.
pañuelo.
They're mostly all gone.
But she would
I'm
separate a
taking
dime
you. I'm
for
your
every
dollar.
dollar.
That's not right, bro.
¿Qué decías,
So she got
Elena?
converted too.
She was the
She-
first
the-
one.
the
The same
same-
day.
the same day that your
They all got married
grandparents.
the same day. So I have a question for you. So when Grandma Tacha left, or she got kidnapped, from
in Mexico.
my great grandpa, Did he ever try to find her, or did he just like let her go? Or?
No, he was too well off in pride, and my father claims, no, and I know it's true. He said that they would go to they had a special place in his room, and they would open this petaquilla, what do you call it?
La petacas, this is like those old ones you had, remember?
Chest.
Yeah,
those
like a
chests,
chest.
like old.
And he says that they would open and they were all full of, not full, but he says more than halfway gold coins. And my dad remembers the first time he says, now that I remember, he goes, he could have never known that he lost a coin. He pulled out a gold coin and he went and spent it. But he says that he was afraid.
They were petrified. They were
And then
just too scared of
when
him.
I asked my uncle, why didn't he do nothing? He says, you don't understand. I've been living under my father's house, his authority, since a baby. They used to go, when he used to come drunk to the house, they would run under the bed and hide.
Oh wow, that's horrible.
And it was, he said, people, but I told him, Theo, you were 19 years old or 21 years
When you
old.
grow up like that, you're still,
Yes,
you're still a child.
yes. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I said, Theo, I says, at 19, I could probably lose with my dad, but I would give my dad a bad time. I says, you're 21. You could take the gun away from him. He says, you don't understand. It's not that way.
Yeah.
You're born.
No,
you're
because you are traumatized.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're under
Their fear,
authority.
you're still a
The
5-year-old
fear
little
doesn't
kid.
go away.
That you always believe that he is that powerful. And one day I was to Camp Pendleton and I was going to do a baby session, photo session, and I knocked at the door and I heard this whoop 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 whoop, and I told the lady, I will not go in until you get that dog in the backyard. And she said, oh, give me a second. She said, okay, everything is clear. So I went and there was a window, those double,
Sliding
uh-huh. And I sat right there and I put my equipment this way. And I would hear the big old dog, And I would turn, I said, are you sure he won't break through? Because he was a big dog. You sure she won't break? No, you'll be okay. And I would be turning and, be preparing everything. And I'd be turning. I said, the door was straight up the other side. Little apartments floor. You probably know that there's a window and the back door sliding. And then straight out, there's a door in the front. And I used to say, if something happened, I'm out that door. Now all of a sudden, I seen the big dog kind of go under like this, his tail under his tail, and his tail between his legs, and kind of walking like this. And I looked and I says,
What changed?
what's he afraid of? And then this little dog like this comes out, snapping at him and like telling him, sit down, shut up, And I look at that lady and I says, don't tell me that she's afraid of that little puppy. She goes, yes, she's the boss and she's blind.
And he wasn't a puppy, he was an old dog.
It was a little doggy, but it was, he says, and then she told me this, when we bought him, he was a puppy and she dominated him and she still thinks that she's the boss. When that happened, it clicked. What happened with my dad and my mom and my uncle. I said, that's why my uncle could.
I'm 20. I could take anyone in this room right now.
I think that's also partly why you see, like, kind of like women who
Are abused.
grew up in an environment where their dad is horrible and like treating their mom wrong, and they kind of end up with the same thing. Cause that's kind of
That's what they know.
Normal.
right.
But
that's what they know.
in going back to the story, his abuelita, Tata, as time went by, remember that he used to bring his lover's children so she could babysit them? Can you imagine?
No.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That was when she was with him. When she came and everything, and I don't know how this all came about, but the thing is that when he was 40 years old, he developed cancer in the mouth.
The left side.
The left side. He was all eaten up. And guess who cared for him?
Why?
Grandma.
She did.
And then I remember I was this little boy. I always
She
asked
fed
these
him.
questions.
She
And
took care of him
I-
until the day he died.
when she came home, because
I would've asked
we
her.
missed her when she was gone.
I know
And
you
says,
would.
Grandma, where were
Sorry,
you?
man, black woman.
I went to take care of your grandpa. You mean your husband, the one that used to hit you? And he goes, yeah. And I said, why did you do that? I couldn't understand. I was just a little boy. I'm maybe 7, 8 years old. He says, why did you do that? He says, he's my husband. Yeah, but he wasn't really your husband. He never treated you good. He says, look, I gave my heart to the Lord, and my heart is good with God. The only thing that I could do, the best thing I could do, is serve him the last days of his life, to prove to him and to myself that God really forgave my sins and I'm a new person.
Wow, that's
I'm not gonna hold this
very
against
big
her.
of her.
And she said she had to get a little thing and pour liquids into his mouth like this so it won't fall out.
Because she used to tell us that all he saw right here was like hamburger meat. Black.
I remember
like
that.
hamburger.
I remember. I thought they used to put like meat here to like
Like you put a steak
Like-
on a black eye.
like a soothing thing. I used to think they used to get ground beef and put it there to soothe his pain or something. I didn't know what was going on. It was all rotten. It was all eaten up.
Jeez, how horrible.
So vulnerable.
And grandma
And he
was
was
there.
only 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's so young.
Yeah, I would have done something.
So
Yeah.
died how old?
40.
40?
The first, just this last weekend, the first person from my class died.
Really? From what?
It was like a stroke or something.
A stroke?
I don't know. It had something to do with her blood. Like she's got bad
Well,
blood.
she had a pre-existing condition. She probably never went to the military.
Oh, you know, she was fat. I thought like she just looked like, well, she's always been like overweight.
From the
He
Marines?
means from high school.
From my class from high school.
Oh, okay.
There was one kid that died, but he got shot and he's stupid, so I don't really count him.